Right, so high seas spoilers are in full effect, and there's already some really exciting cards to look over. So, starting off with our Necromancer Allies. So, joining our Chum, Rigamortis, and Sawbones from our Armory deck, we have Moray, Lefay, Barnacle, Limpet, Hopalong, and our Whaler, Humperdinck. Yeah, these are definitely some very interesting cards with a decent chunk of utility, and also just a nice big plethora of stat lines to really shake things up, right? You can swap from, again, in a sense of going wide to going big, and yeah, Necromancer and Gravy is definitely going to be very, very exciting to play, and pretty much a mixed experience, right? It makes me very curious to see what exactly gets chucked into the Armory deck, right? If we're already at, say, 6 allies, right, with the set, how many are going to show up in the actual Armory deck? But, new card-wise, so, terms of utility, we have our Moray Lefay. So 0 cost, no cost tap to attack, but no power either. But then the instant pay 1, tap it to put a counter on a target ally, so that includes herself. But basically speaking, this is a 0 cost, 3 life, in a sense. Your opponent really wants to deal with this. Get 2 counters for 2, right? Because you can, again, tap it the turn you play it, and then you can tap it on your opponent's turn since it will untap at the end of your turn. So yeah, that's already a nice bump to life in terms of, again, helping Gravy Bones stay afloat. So really, really nice utility effect, and it works well in conjunction with some of those high health allies like our new Whaler Humperdinck, right? So you can continue to buff him and really make him a threat on board that your opponent has to deal with, even if you have no intention of swinging with him, right? You don't want to pay the 6 for 11, although that is really, really great stats to have on board, right? So it's not the normal disadvantage of a 6 cost card where you're playing 2 cards from your hand, in a sense, to pitch for it, so you're down to 1. Rather, with Whaler, he's on board, so you pitch 2, and you still have another 2 cards left to do something with. Now, in terms of swinging with him the turn you play, it's not impossible, but it's probably not something you're going to strive for, so still, him being a nice big 7 life huge boy is just threatening enough for your opponent to, in a sense, probably have to deal with, right? Because, yeah, not being the be-all and end-all of your turn, or just being a huge 11 additive to whatever you're doing, is pretty crazy, right? Joining him in terms of the vanilla stats, we have Barnacle and Limpet. So a 2 cost, no cost, tap to swing for 4, so a 0-4 once he's set up on board. And Limpet being a 0 cost, 1 cost swing for 2 is kind of interesting in terms of how exactly the stats end up breaking down, right? Being split between cost, power, and life, right? But in comparison to Rigamortis being a 1 cost, 1 to swing, tap for 6, versus, again, Limpet being a 1 for 2 is very much a curiosity. She definitely seems like she's kind of just there as fodder for some of those other effects to tap into another card like Paddle Faster that gains a go again. But overall, definitely shaping up quite nicely with the Necromancer Allies. Now, Legendaries. So, we have our third, our Sea Lace Sarong. So, joining our Polycranker and our Gold Baited Hook, we have our Ranger Legendary. Instant tap, turn a blue arrow in your arsenal face up. It gets go again this turn. So, very, very interesting. For one, it doesn't quite mesh well with Marlin. So Marlin loads face up. Works with Gravy Bones. I don't know if this gets adopted by Azalea, right? It's really nice in the fact that, again, it extends those turns. It's a reusable go again, right? So going from potentially 2 arrows to 3 arrows could be kind of nice, but, Azalea will probably still just lean into buff and dominate. So it's, I guess, a Riptide card, right? Maybe it has some light play with Marlin, but I don't know. It's a bit of a wild card to me, right? Until we see what arrows we actually get in high seas, because the blue arrows as they stand, it feels like this is a bit of a overreach, right? Not necessarily something you want to go for, but something definitely fun. Other than that, the Blade Break with 2 block is definitely really nice, right? So yeah, solid legendary to add in and its interactions all together. But I do find it kind of funny that, face value, I would say it slots into Riptide the best so far, and obviously he's not the one you picture wearing the sarong. Now, Pirate and Majestic. So, we have 2, Loan Shark and Tip the Barkeep, and both of these are definitely exciting. So, Loan Shark, go again. When this enters your arena, create 2 gold tokens, and yes, you can definitely do a lot with that, right? Especially if we are just getting a plethora of gold generation through other means, getting to 3 off of, again, what's looking to be at least 2 very blue-heavy heroes by way of Marlin and Gravy Bones. This could be as simple as, a cycle, right? You're turning Loan Shark into a +1, or using those gold to load up a bunch of cards for, say, Marlin, or it just gets you a nice hefty stockpile to utilize Gravy Bones ability. So at the beginning of your end phase, if you haven't created or stolen any gold this turn, destroy this, then lose 2 unless you discard a card, right? So I don't, obviously late game, the 2 life loss is definitely substantial, but this is definitely a very, very sizable card in terms of just generating 2 gold, right? So yeah, it can potentially be something you miss, right? It covers its first turn. We have our other Legendary Gold-baited Hook to try and get over it for the following turns. It's also just an aura to be destroyed by some other cards, but the penalty of lose 2 life or discard a card isn't that much of a be-all end-all to me, right? And then for Tip the Barkeep, create a Gold Kiss Rum token, and then you may give a gold token you control to another hero. If you do, put this on the bottom of its owner's deck. So a reusable freebie, right? Because a Gold Kiss Rum, instant, tap your hero, destroy this, your next action this turn gets to go again, and that is action, so attack actions or actions, right? And then you can't untap your hero unless they're a pirate this turn. So locks you out of your ability, but again, it just being an extender, especially when it comes to big arrows like Marlin, is pretty nuts. So whether or not this is just as simple as a blue 3 block that, again, provides a go again to anything, or you do choose to cycle it back, it is a absurdly strong card to me, right? Because again, just how open-ended Gold Kiss Rum is. Then for our pirate rares, we have Portside Exchange. Discard a card, then draw a card. If a yellow card is discarded this way, create a gold token, go again. So a nice enabler for Gravy, a nice reload for Marlin, right? Again, we're not quite getting a glimpse into how Puffin is going to like or dislike discard and draw, although generally speaking, just getting out of, bad item hands could be decent enough. But again, it's another 0 blue 3 block that has a very substantial effect to it, right? Even if it is a miss on the gold generation, both Marlin and Gravy Bones, or Gravy Bones profits from the discard and Marlin profits from the draw. So yeah, definitely a nice card as a rare. Now, limited. So we have our expeditions. I'm a little bit disappointed. I was hoping for some boat shenanigans, but all these are visit Treasure Island in a sense. So Treasure Island is a high seas macro, so we highly assume it's just going to be for limited play. If it was open-ended, right, and could be used in Classic Constructed, it would be an absolutely disgusting card. So Treasure Island, the first time a hero is attacked each turn, put a gold counter on this, and then whenever you or an ally you control deals damage to an opposing hero, you may remove that many gold counters from it to create that many gold tokens. So yeah, stockpiling gold counters onto Treasure Island is going to be fantastic and lead to just really, really explosive turns. So expedition to all these different places, just making up our general stat line, right? So 0-4 to a 1-5 to a 2-6 and then a 3-7. And all of them just trigger when it attacks. So it's still a decent end to your turn, fueling Treasure Island. Now, generic Majestics. We have Sea Legs. And this is what I really want to see. When this is discarded, create a Gold Kiss Rum token. So it is a way to get Gold Kiss as any hero, right? Which definitely opens up shenanigans because, again, Gold Kiss being the extender to any action card is mind-boggling, right? Especially for the heroes where tapping them doesn't do anything. Unless we get, a rule reprise where tapping completely locks you out of your ability, regardless of whether or not you're tapped. Although, for someone like Gravy Bones, I find that bit hard to believe because his passive ability should always be active in that sense, right? With the interaction being partially, it gets triggered off of tapping him. So, yeah. Definitely going to look into what craziness we can do. The discard aspect of it might be a little bit hard. There are definitely ways to do it and interactions from your opponent's side. But generally speaking, the main discard cards that we're getting so far have been from the pirate slot. But meshing with Codex could be definitely nice, right? Keep it in hand, discard it, get your Gold Kiss Rum, and then still destroy your opponent's arsenal. And then on the following turn, you have a nice, easy go again proc, right? Something like that. Not to mention Brute having a field day with a yellow 3 block that also nets them a go again, right, when they discard it. So, yeah, Sea Legs is pretty exciting. Fiddler's Green. So, this is a very, very interesting block, right? So, it is online in terms of stats, right? So, when this is put into your graveyard from anywhere, gain 3 life for red, 2 for yellow, 1 for blue. It blocks for 1, meaning it's a 4, 3, or 2, respective of its color. Now, the question is whether or not you actually are using this as a block. So we are leaning into discard, so if we get more ways to discard that aren't just a pirate thing, this could potentially be a really, really strong card, right? You're discarding, gaining life, and then fulfilling that card requirement. So, for instance, with the discarded draw that we've seen for pirate, this turns the already positive ability, for again, Marlin or Gravy Bones, into positive plus gain some life, right? So, yeah, very interested to see where this lands overall, but at the very least, it seems solid enough for Pirates. Then lastly, we have our expansion slots. So far, just a Burn Bear, which is a very, very interesting card because it does not pitch, right? So it's a wizard action, it's 3 cost, colorless, and deals 6 arcane damage to any target, but more impactfully, it has instant, discard this, destroy target card with Phantasm that is attacking you. Now, with the wording of Phantasmal Footsteps, that still triggers, right? Because it's not destroyed from Phantasm, it's just destroyed, but it is a very versatile, big card, right? So even just a 3 for 6 in Wizard seems on rate, right? But then having the versatility to, again, interact with Illusionist, and then it being a 3 block. The question overall is whether or not that makes up for it not being pitchable, right? Would you care to put this in your arsenal and lose out on the instant ability, or would you simply sideboard it for Illusionist, right? Depends what exactly it combos with, because, again, the 6 arcane stat line is pretty sizable to start, right? So it might also turn out to be a pretty decent finisher card when we, in the sense of moving a little bit away from, say, just Kanoing or trying to play a bunch of our wizard actions, right? So, yeah, very interesting to see how it meshes, but obviously it's what the expansion slot is meant for. A really, really good toolkit card against Illusionists. So, that's all the spoilers so far, at least by the time that I'm checking this. Basically, I think I'm just going to check every morning if there's substantial amounts. We'll go through them, and then probably once everything is out in the open, we'll do it by class, right? So Necromancer, Ranger, Mechanologist, Pirate, and then the generics, and then we can sort of go a little bit more in depth into the, supposed card interactions that at least I can figure out, right? So, what do you think of the card so far? Is High Seas shaping up nicely? Yeah, I think it is. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.